Last summer, my doorbell camera caught her hanging around again, clipboard tucked under her arm, that smug little smile like she already knew the ending. An hour later, a certified letter showed up in my mailbox. Fraud investigation. Allegation of a home business scam. My stomach dropped instantly because I do run a business from home. Completely legal. Properly licensed. Fully documented. What the person trying to wreck me didn't realize was that an auditor was about to pull one loose thread and unravel her entire life. I live in a quiet HOA neighborhood where the grass is always perfect and rumors move faster than same-day delivery. I'm not a problem neighbor. I don't throw parties. I don't blast music. I wave, smile, and keep walking. The only thing that sets me apart is my small home business, mostly online. Think laptop, shipping labels, and occasional courier stopping by. At first, nobody cared. Some neighbors actually liked it. I was the one who could recommend a good printer, help set up Wi-Fi, or explain how to avoid getting scammed on returns. I never put up a sign. No customers showing up. No foot traffic. Just me, a workroom, and a neat stack of boxes that never stayed outside more than a few minutes. Then Karen moved in. She arrived like a storm wrapped in a perfectly pressed blouse, with a voice that always sounded halfway through a complaint. The type who only smiles when she thinks someone's breaking a rule. Within a week, she'd introduce herself to everyone, and somehow manage to collect details along the way. Names, schedules, jobs, who owned what. She laughed like it was friendly, but her eyes were calculating. The first time she spoke to me, she didn't say hello. She stared at the packages near my garage and asked, "So what exactly are you selling?" I kept it polite. Online orders, mostly electronics, accessories, office supplies. Her eyebrows lifted, not impressed, intrigued. "And this is approved?" she asked, stretching the word like it tasted unpleasant. "It's legal, licensed, taxed, no in-person clients." She smiled thinly and nodded like a teacher humoring a child. "Oh, I'm sure. I just worry about the neighborhood. People don't realize how many scams start from houses." That word, scams, hit hard. I felt heat creep up my neck, but swallowed it. I'd dealt with nosy people before. They usually get bored. Karen didn't. Over the next 2 weeks, she made my business her personal project. If a courier van stopped, she appeared on her porch like it was scheduled entertainment. If I carried boxes inside, she suddenly needed her mail. Once, I caught her snapping a photo of a shipping label before I could peel it off. I walked over. "Did you just take a picture of my mail?" She didn't even flinch. "I'm documenting unusual activity." "Unusual?" I repeated. "Multiple deliveries daily," she said, tapping her clipboard. "Looks like reselling. That can violate HOA rules." "It doesn't. And photographing my packages definitely isn't okay." She tilted her head and smiled like I'd threatened her with a water gun. "If you have nothing to hide, you shouldn't be worried." Something snapped inside me, not outwardly, but deep down. People like Karen don't stop when ignored. They escalate when they lose control. The next day, the HOA manager emailed asking if I was operating a retail storefront. I replied with my license, zoning approval, receipts, and confirmation that no customers ever visited. The response came quickly. "Thanks. Looks fine." I thought that would be the end of it. Karen escalated anyway. It started subtly. A neighbor I'd waved at for years suddenly avoided eye contact. Another asked casually, "Hey, are you doing something risky with taxes?" I laughed at first. "No. Who told you that?" They shifted awkwardly. "People are talking." In an HOA, people are talking as a siren. Then one afternoon, there was a hard knock on my door. 2 knocks. A pause. Then another like the person was offended I hadn't instantly appeared. When I opened it, a man in a neat polo shirt held up an ID. "Good afternoon. I'm a county auditor. I need to ask you some questions regarding a complaint about potential fraudulent business activity at this address." For a second, the world went quiet. Fraudulent activity? My mouth went dry. "The allegation," he continued neutrally, "is that you're operating an unregistered scam business, soliciting payments and avoiding taxes. High package volume. suspicious deliveries. Even knowing I'd done nothing wrong, hearing words like fraud and scam attached to your home is terrifying. I nodded and stepped aside. Come in. I can show you everything. He didn't enter right away. He glanced toward my driveway, then down at his clipboard. That's when I saw it. Printed photos, screenshots, dates, times, a full file. Karen had built a case. Anger and disbelief bubbled up. Who filed this complaint? We can't always disclose that, he said, but I can tell you it was very detailed. I brought him to my office, pulled out my license binder, invoices, tax confirmations, bank records, supplier contracts, shipping receipts. I wasn't going to argue. I was going to suffocate the accusation under paperwork. He reviewed everything carefully, asking precise questions. How do customers find you? How are payments processed? Refund policy? Website? Inventory sources? I answered honestly, quickly. Then he paused on a page and said something that twisted my stomach again. Interesting. This complaint claims you're connected to a neighborhood investment group. I blinked. What? It alleges you've been collecting money from neighbors, promising returns, and using your business as cover. My jaw dropped. That's completely false. I've never taken money from any neighbor. I sell products. His expression shifted slightly. Do you know anyone here who runs an investment club? One name surfaced instantly. Karen. Not because I was involved, never, but because she bragged. At the last HOA meeting, she casually mentioned helping neighbors grow their savings. Called it a private wealth circle. People had applauded. I've heard Karen talk about something like that. I said carefully, but I'm not involved. He wrote her name down slowly, like it mattered. Then he asked something that sent chills up my arms. Would you be willing to provide any HOA emails or communications you've received recently? Complaints, warnings, anything referencing money, investments, or scam-related allegations. I nodded, still trying to catch up, but ready to cooperate. Yes, absolutely. As I opened my laptop to pull up HOA emails, my phone buzzed. A text from a neighbor I barely knew. Hey, is it true you got reported? Also, random, but have you heard of Karen's investment thing? She's been pressuring people to put in more money. I stared at the screen as a cold realization crept in. Karen hadn't just reported my business. She'd tried to tie me to something larger, something financial, something serious enough to make authorities act quickly. And right as that thought settled, the auditor closed my binder, met my eyes, and said, I believe your business is legitimate, but I need to ask one more question. Did Karen ever invite you to invest with her? My blood went cold, because she had. And I had screenshots. The room felt smaller as I answered. Yes, multiple times. His pen froze. He looked up, fully focused now. Then this investigation may need to expand. I scrolled to my phone. Weeks back, Karen's messages were still there. Bold, friendly, persistent. Voice notes, long texts, even cheerful emojis. Low risk, guaranteed returns. Everyone in the neighborhood is doing it. I handed the phone over. He read silently, jaw tightening just enough to notice. She told me it was private. I added, no paperwork, no contracts. She said involving banks would slow everything down. He exhaled through his nose. Not a sigh, more irritation. Did she explain where returns came from? I nodded vaguely. Something about rotating capital. Short-term reinvestment. She never answered direct questions, just kept pushing me to put money in before the next cycle closed. That word, cycle, hung in the air. He thanked me, asked me not to contact Karen, and left with copies of my records. The moment the door shut, my hands started shaking. I slid down onto the floor of my office, staring at nothing, replaying every interaction I dismissed as petty HOA drama. An hour later, Karen knocked. Not the aggressive knock from before. This one was soft, controlled, polite. I didn't answer, but I watched through the peephole. Her posture was stiff, her smile rehearsed. When I stayed silent, she spoke anyway, loud enough to hear. I know you're home. I just wanted to check on you. I heard an auditor stop by. My stomach dropped. I hadn't told anyone, which meant she'd been watching. I cracked the door open with the chain still on. What do you want, Karen? Her smile flickered. Concerned neighbor. People are worried. You know how rumors spread. Funny, I said, because you're the one who reported me. She gasped dramatically. Reported? No. I simply raised concerns. There's a difference. You accused me of running a scam. You tried to link me to fake investments. Her eyes hardened for half a second, then softened again. Well, when someone has that many packages and no one really knows what they do, questions come up. I showed the auditor everything. Licenses, taxes, records. That's when she leaned closer, lowering her voice. Audits can go deeper than that. Sometimes they look at everyone connected to you. The threat was subtle, but unmistakable. I stared at her. Are you trying to scare me? She smiled again. I'm trying to help you. HOA boards hate scandal. People talk. Then maybe you shouldn't create one. I shot back. Her smile vanished. Be careful, she said coldly. People who don't cooperate often regret it. Then she turned and walked away like she hadn't crossed a line. That night, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Neighbors I barely spoke to suddenly wanted to check in. Some asked directly if their money was safe. I didn't understand until one woman sent a screenshot. A group chat titled Neighborhood Wealth Circle. Karen was the admin. Scrolling made my chest tighten. Dozens of messages thanking Karen for returns, celebrating payouts, encouraging others to invest more. But the dates told another story. Early members were paid quickly. Newer ones were being told to roll profits forward. Anyone who questioned it was reassured or ignored. I didn't need to be an expert to know this was wrong. The next morning, the auditor called back. His tone wasn't neutral anymore. We've identified inconsistencies in the complaint against you. False statements. Fabricated connections. So I'm cleared. I asked. Yes, he said. But your neighbor is now under review. Relief mixed with dread. Under review for what? Unregistered investment activity, he replied carefully, and possible misrepresentation. That afternoon, 2 more officials showed up, this time at Karen's house. I watched from my window as they knocked, watched her confident posture collapse into frantic gestures, watched her pull out papers, then more papers, then start arguing. Neighbors gathered. Phones came out. Karen looked up and locked eyes with me across the street. The look wasn't anger. It was panic. For the first time, she wasn't controlling the story. When one official pulled out a folder far thicker than the one she built on me, I understood something terrifyingly simple. Karen didn't report my business to protect the neighborhood. She did it to distract them. And whatever she'd been hiding was finally visible. When her front door closed behind the auditors, the street went quiet in that unnatural HOA way. Curtains twitching. People watering plants that didn't need water. I thought that was the end. I was wrong. That evening, my phone rang again. Same auditor. Different tone. We need to clarify something. Your neighbor didn't just run an informal investment group. She used your business name in her materials. My stomach dropped. Used my name. She told members profits were partially generated through a local e-commerce operation, he said. She implied a partnership, that their money was backing inventory. The room spun. That's a lie. I never agreed to anything like that. We know, he said. That's why this matters. Suddenly, everything made sense. The package photos, the obsession, the fixation on my deliveries. My legitimate business wasn't the target. It was the cover. By the next morning, the HOA board called an emergency meeting. Karen didn't show. The president opened with a shaky announcement about financial irregularities and warned everyone to stop sending money to private groups immediately. That's when the anger exploded. People who defended Karen days earlier were furious. One neighbor cried, admitting she put retirement savings into the circle. Another said Karen pressured him to reinvest instead of withdrawing. Someone else confessed they'd never seen proof, just screenshots Karen sent. Then the auditor spoke. Calm, professional, devastating. Early investors were paid with money from newer ones. No external revenue. No license fund. No disclosures. Just rotating cash and promises. A Ponzi scheme. Gasps filled the room. Someone shouted Karen's name like she might appear and fix it. She didn't. 2 days later, her house was dark. No car. No lights. Just notice taped to the door. Investigation in progress. At first, neighbors avoided my eyes. Then apologies came. Quiet ones. Awkward ones. Some cried. I listened more than I spoke. I was still processing how close I'd come to being collateral damage. The auditor followed up once more. Your documentation saved you. And those screenshots mattered. My business wasn't just cleared. It was commended for compliance. The HOA issued a written apology. Karen was removed from every committee she'd touched. The irony was undeniable. The woman who tried to brand me a scammer had been hiding one in plain sight. Now, when packages arrive, no one stares. No clipboards. No whispers. Just silence, and the truth that lies don't need exposure. They collapse under their own weight.